Sure.
But I misinterpreted the Lord saying, I will defend you, keep your mouth shut. Versus also there need to be more communication to some things. And I'm trying to figure things out and being torn apart at this time as well. And so, but I don't even know where I was going with this.
But you know what? We're following.
This is one of those parts we may have to cut out.
Welcome back to the Ministry Without Hating It podcast, a ministry of Odyssey Haven coaching and counseling dedicated to the pursuit of answering the question, is it possible to do ministry without hating it? We have a theory that it just might be. Hey, I'm Chad. He's Brenton.
Yep, that's me.
That is you. And Brenton, you weren't aware of this until I told you literally seconds ago.
Yeah.
But this is our 50th episode.
Yeah, we're getting old.
I wasn't going to go there with it. I was going to be more celebratory. We actually made it to 50.
Heck yeah.
We didn't quit.
Yeah.
It's not been podcasting without hating it.
Yeah.
It has been that. It's not, we've not hated. Okay, whatever. Hey, 50, everybody. We made it to 50.
That little horn that goes, wow, 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 wow.
No, I don't think we need a sound effect. I think you did it for us.
Yep.
And that's staying in. That is totally staying in.
Yeah.
Well, hey, listen, no better way to kick off and to hit 50 than with a great guest. And we've had lots of great guests, and this continues the trend. And I have more recently in the last couple of years just gotten to know Pastor Timmy Hensel. I know you have as well. But I feel like within this conversation, we got to really get to know him pretty quick. Like he went to deep waters pretty fast and was pretty vulnerable with us in a lot of things. And I think it was great.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're a leader that wonders if you can actually, if God's asking you to lay something down and you're like, I don't know if I can, this is the episode to hash through all of the feelings of that.
Here's your sign. Indeed. Yep. Indeed. So I don't want to even trip over ourselves a little bit much. I do want to say real quick, though, thank you to those who have been with us from the very beginning. Yeah. And if you haven't, you're just as important. But we hope that this continues to be an encouragement to you. Thank you for helping us get to 50 episodes. Here's to 50 times 50 more, hopefully. Because there are definitely other guests that we're excited down the line and others that will just continue to pop up. And so we want to say thank you to you, the listener, for your support and being there with us along the way. And so without further ado, let's move on to our conversation, and we hope that you enjoy it with Pastor Timmy Hensel. Well, it is our pleasure and privilege to welcome our friend who we're getting to know even better, and we hope to get to know even more on this interview, Pastor Timmy Hensel. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey guys, so good to be here with you.
We like to start off with some questions that usually have nothing to do with ministry, but it's a way for us to get to know you better. And honestly, they need to be asked anyways. And our favorite one to start with is describe yourself in 3 words.
Oh, 3 words. Well, that is a great question. I actually kind of have been able to pull some people in the past being asked this question. And here's what I would say. Compassionate, constant, and celebrant, or like celebrator. I'm a person who celebrates.
Okay.
But
bonus points for having all the same letter to start.
Yeah,
by the way.
That was for you. I have watched the past episode and noticed that
the Lord smiles when you use all the same letters for your words.
It was so pastoral.
Yeah. and for my last point, anyway, compassionate. You said constant and celebrant. Okay. And I would say this, like, if those are 3 words, but if I could use 3 words as an invitation of who I am, I would say come with me would be the 3 words. Yeah. Okay. So. So how pull that out just a little bit for us. How do those? Yeah. I mean, and even if you're you want to use your tagline as well, underneath those the come does it come with me?
Yeah.
So how does that all? How do they all fit?
So I've had many people just say there's a dependability, loyalty, like as far as the constant. Somebody is trustworthy. The compassionate piece, like the Lord has really given me a tender heart, where a lot of what I care about, and you see throughout ministry-wise from our nonprofit to the communities, really having a heart for people that maybe others might not see, and so that compassionate aspect. And just also compassion for where people are, be it in conflict or other leaders or people experiencing pain or struggle, anything like that. And then I love to celebrate people. There's something really powerful about that. It kills competition. And
yeah, that's good.
So I had a staff member tell me one time, she called me Mr. Fezziwig from A Christmas Carol.
Yes.
And,
nice.
And so she was like, you are the guy who's just, you're jovial. You care about people. You really see people, and you're that person that has the like mission flag that says, rather than running out on the field and hoping people join, you're the person that says, why don't you join me, come with me, kind of thing. So that's kind of something that's really stuck with me.
Yeah. That's what a fun. I mean, it's a deep cut, but I got the reference. But to be called Fezziwig, that's actually pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever heard that before.
Yeah, I hadn't either. I had to look it up because I was like, the Muppet Christmas Carol did not cover Mr. Fezziwig too.
Sure. That's actually one of my favorite Christmas stories. Periods. That's why I know that. I am nerdy, but not in that way. So.
Yeah, there was this cool. I actually went and looked. There's a quote in Christmas Carol where one of the ghosts is showing Scrooge, and he kind of slips and makes this comment about Mr. Fezziwig. He says he has the power to render us happy or unhappy, to make our service light or burdensome, a pleasure or a toil. Say that his power lies in words and looks and things so slight and insignificant that it's impossible to add and count them up. What then? And he says the happiness he gives is quite as great as if it cost a fortune.
Wow!
And so, I was like, wow, that is such a compliment. To be compared to that guy.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was something that really, you talk about how words can really impact a person. That was a compliment that I've taken with me. So
that's incredible. So Timmy, you get our very first AI generated random icebreaker question. I actually found one. Yeah, no, I found one and I was like, well, I can't not. And this was the very first question that came out. And I thought, yep, I'm going to use that. So what do you miss about kindergarten? This is deep. AI was going deep for this one.
Taking it back.
That is amazing. I actually had to. I couldn't remember kindergarten when I was thinking about this question. I'm like, what in the world?
What kind of trauma happened?
Did I block this?
Exactly.
Did I block this out? What happened? And so finally, I was like, oh yes, here's where I went to kindergarten. It was a little trauma because we moved from Iowa to Missouri at that time. So
okay.
Here is what I remember about kindergarten that was amazing is we had nap time.
Yeah.
And isn't that would be awesome, to have nap time during the day. That's what I miss about kindergarten. So especially when I was in college, pulling those all-nighters, I'm like, man, I wish there was a nap time during the
nap time. Yeah. Yep. Interesting. I gotta be honest, I don't know if I remember kindergarten too much. I do remember that was probably, if there was trauma, it was that you went to, all of a sudden it was now full-time school, all day, at least for us.
Yeah. Ours was half day. That was the other thing I put on there. I'm like, kindergarten was half day, which is great. So
no, we didn't get that option. And so
it sounds like you had trauma.
Maybe we should talk about it a little bit.
Yes. I know a guy.
Listen, I'm married to one. I know several.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. It's fine. We're gonna move on. We'll move on. I'll just repress it. It'll be fine. No big deal. So that'll keep me from hating things. All right, another hard-hitting question then. Not AI generated, but still kind of pulled from. Which superpower would you give your arch enemy?
Ooh,
that is a great question.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Yeah, because you want to give them something that's kind of like disarming or something, right? So I think if you gave them a power that they emanate a power that causes those in their proximity to be wise, confident, and find their voice, so that they can never be manipulated, controlled, or dismissed. Is kind of what I'm thinking. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Huh. Interesting.
Good luck taking over the world,
I see.
I mean, it doesn't sell like movie tickets, but
it would not. This is about giving a power to your arch enemy, right?
Yeah. But what? But are they your arch enemy at that point? Then are you?
They're going to be extremely frustrated. Let's just put it that way.
Timmy, you made me tell the truth.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah, it works. It would work, right?
I think I'm more speechless because I don't think I know how to even answer that question myself. It's just like, and I mean, I have bonded with one of my children specifically over comics and things. I don't know how to answer that. That's really interesting. Anyway.
Yeah, try to manipulate me, and that's not going to happen,
Yeah. Hmm. Okay.
I can tell you're not a fan. So
no. I'm just trying to. I think I'm trying to figure out how I would answer it. I think, and you threw me off a little bit. So it's like, Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Last one, and this will probably segue into maybe where we're going. Where do you find exciting? What's inspiring you right now?
Week one aside, beside the Kansas City Chiefs, yeah, that was a little dig right there.
Sorry for your loss. That's fine.
I've been a fan for many seasons in the Valley, so this is a good time for us. So I just want to put that there.
Yeah, you're doing just fine. You're doing just fine.
With all kidding aside, I really see the rumblings of the church embracing like vulnerability and holistic healing. So it's not only spirit, it's not only body, it's spirit, body, and mind, and really trying to tackle power dynamics, tackle some really important things that I think will help us lead the church forward. And so that's super exciting to me to see that. We got a long ways to go, but it's a good thing. And then just watching the youth who are seriously hungry for Jesus, and there's like a depth and authenticity that is there, that is beautiful to watch. I see it in my own kids and the way they worship the Lord. The questions I get from my son, like that just like boggle my mind sometimes. He just sends my wife and I a question that'll just I'm trying to think of one that he's asked lately, but that he's really chewing on things, and there's just not this like when you're in information culture that everything is accessible and available, but there's not a surface level shallowness to it. There's a depth and rootedness to it that is really, really cool to see.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So tell us, for those who don't know, I mean, you're a lead pastor. Are you co-pastoring where you're at with your wife?
Yes, my wife and I, we are co-lead. She has really stepped into the role as far as lead pastor in this season that we've been called. She is carrying a lot more because I am also a regional pastor.
Okay, so that's where I was going next. Yeah,
with the Foursquare Central.
And explain for those who don't know, what does that mean? What does that look like?
So oversee about 55 churches from Missouri down to Mississippi. And so a lot of what I do is I have area pastors who are really in charge of the care of about 10, from 9 to 10 or 9 to 12 pastors each. And so my job is to connect with those area pastors who are really caring on a local level for the pastors. Where I step in is with transitions, with moral issues, with celebrations, with honor. And I really enjoy this season, really enjoy doing this. I did it with the Gateway District. I had a guy who really took me under his wing and had me assist him like masters for a season, and then handed it off to me. And then I continued since the last transition in taking on more. Really enjoy this. It's been great.
So I like to usually start off just by I'm always curious with anybody in ministry what the catalyst or the starting point, or what was the event, or maybe it was a person or something, what actually began, which you would look back and go, this is where ministry began for me.
Yeah, I could think of that moment. I was at a Foursquare youth camp. Shout out to camp. Huge fan.
Camp matters. Yep. Camp matters.
And I was there, and I had plans of what my life was going to be. And I was not going to continue in the tribe of Levi that my family was. I was like, I'm fourth generation Foursquare. My parents are Foursquare pastors. My grandma was, my great grandparents were with Amy, like all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I am not doing this. I want to be a doctor. And so Ralph Torres was there. I don't know if you guys know Ralph.
Yes.
Yeah. He's given his scary, fiery, prophetic message, and we're all like shaking in our boots kind of thing, in a good way. But it was about calling, and there's this moment where we're in this room of about 200 plus kids or so, and he gives this invitation for us to be brave and stand up about calling, and I just knew in that moment this was it. And so I go to stand up, and then my friend on my right, my friend on my left stand up, and when I opened my eyes, we were the only ones standing up, and I'm like, oh no. Because then he comes over. I'm like, oh no.
and he listens. So I've actually, some of my camps growing up at Cedar Crest, same thing. And he was the speaker up there, and he's an intimidating guy. He can be. Yeah. So I know exactly what you're talking about when you say, oh no.
Yeah. Yes. And so, I'm standing up, and he comes over, and he just like sees us and like prophesies over us and just speaks life over us. And at that moment, I knew I was called to Bible college. I'm pursuing ministry, and just I had a calling on my life. And so it was like so significant and powerful that it led me straight there, that nothing was going to deter me. So.
And then what? And so from there, you said you went to Bible college.
Yeah.
What does your journey look like after that, and how has that evolved over time?
Yeah, I went to Bible college. I noticed it's interesting. I became very cynical in Bible college.
Okay.
And there was really this pride in me, but it was actually, I think, rooted in insecurity and the fear of man. Like that was a main theme kind of throughout, where I really cared a lot about what people thought. And so that impacted me in school. That impacted me. I'm like always trying to get approval, feeling insecure. It impacted me even into early ministry, even after graduation. And I'm going to tell you, like, that's a disease you don't want. It isolates you. But throughout there is this also, I would say, just a dependency on God of that it's the best place you can ever be. And so I'd have this, it felt like almost like bipolar of like, insecurity, fear of man, and God, I need you, like, so dependent on him. And I didn't want to do anything unless I heard from him. This is where I'm supposed to go. And there was almost like this, I remember graduating from Bible college and just like where am I going to go? Tisha, what are we called to do? I only want to go where God wants us to go. And there was this like waiting part of like, almost like paralyzed, can't do anything unless I hear a open heaven, you will go here, kind of thing.
Sure.
And so, I remember one of my mentors and pastors said to me, he's like, sometimes the Lord would give us a ticket that tells us where we're going to the train station. Other times he's like, where do you want to go? And so that was just a freeing moment for me. But it's hilarious because what ends up happening is there was this like really a direction to go back to the place that we came from in Kansas City, the place that I'd never wanted to go back to. And in that season, I will say, here's how I would describe it. The Lord broke me like a wild stallion. Like,
okay.
Like I was broken in that season and went through some really hard, dark times. And God broke the pride in my heart that was so there. And I had such entitlement in my heart that, and if we have time later, I can kind of get into it a little bit, but where
you can do it now if you want to. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I remember we go back to our home church that and just so you know, my wife and I, we grew up in youth group together. It was really an arranged marriage. My dad really just made that happen. Almost ruined it. I
hope he got cattle for it. That's
yeah.
He
had been praying for her before I even met her, and so anyway, there's this moment where we're back at this church that we grew up in, and I'm basically there to help be a part of a church that is to close. And so like it's ran its course, and it's dying and it needs rebirth kind of thing. And I am dying along with it kind of thing. And there's this hard, difficult part where the pastors are there one Sunday, we're on staff there, and all of a sudden they announce from the pulpit, this is our last Sunday, and we don't know why. And everybody's looking at me. It's like, just stuff you're like, I'm like, I don't know, and so and they had this huge stinking lawn there, where I would mow this lawn and I would just be screaming at God, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? And just get on my face in the mustard seed cafe that we have, and I would cry my eyes out and would hear crickets. Felt like he was a million miles away. And I remember I took a group of guys to men's camp, another shout out to camp.
Yeah.
And I was in the back row. It was a powerful service. There was the Spirit of God was moving. People are just having encounters with the Lord. And I am like cold-hearted dead, just sitting in the back, like stoic. And I have this like picture of the cross where I see the cross up there, and it's just like this like piercing laser beam of, and I'm like, I have this just realization, I deserve nothing. Like,
wow,
I'm not entitled to anything. And so without like, like there's almost like no emotion, but I just made a covenant with the Lord. I'm like, Lord, I will serve you the rest of my life, whether I hear your voice or feel your presence again, because it's not what I deserve. It's what you deserve. And the Lord was like so kind. He like moved in this moment, and I saw like this like vision of I was like floating over these rolling green hills. It's nighttime, and I see these like huge white marble steps that are far away, and there's this zooming in, and I see something that looks really small, and the steps get really big, and it just highlights how small this thing on the steps is. And when I get close, I see myself, and I felt really small in that moment. And I felt a presence that I could not see. And here's what I heard the Lord say to me in that moment was, I've been here the whole time.
Oh.
And it was just something that I needed to hear because I felt alone. Like I felt like I'd moved back, and I had all these like friendships that I'd left and connections that I'd left. And I just felt really alone in this moment. And like, I thought he was a million miles away, but he was there. And so in this moment, I all of a sudden I just fall to my knees, literally, and in this vision I'm having, and all of a sudden it's like what I begin to repent for becomes something in my hand that I lay down. So like, Lord, forgive my pride, forgive my entitlement, and I lay it down on those steps before him, and it would pan to this other picture that was like a rusted, corroded object that was being held by tongues in a fire kiln. And every time I'd say, Lord, forgive this, this fire would begin to melt away this corroded, rusted object. And when it was all said and done, I realized the object was my heart. And it tenderized me. And I would say that's the time that I like fell in love with the Lord again. I laid down entitlement in that season and realized like, oh, this isn't my story. I'm in his, you know?
Yeah.
And so, I was able to walk through that transition of helping with that close that church and really go through a time and season of healing that was instrumental.
And Weston, we were talking just before, and this is a little off whatever, off camera, so to speak. But is this the transition that you were talking about? That was like the painful? Was there another one?
Oh no, there was another one.
Oh nice. Oh nice. Well, maybe I just teed you up for that.
Yeah. So, you know,
the consistent theme is pain.
Ministry, right? Without hating it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I look back, I'm like, how do I not hate ministry?
I love Jesus.
And by the way, you also just were on a sabbatical, which we're going to get to in just a minute as well. But I remember one of the questions I asked is like, how did you come back from that and decide, I still want to do this, but it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, go ahead. There was another pain point that I just brought up, and I'm sorry.
That's a whole nother episode, let me tell you. But the church that I'm a part of, that my wife and I pastor now, we went through a really difficult, hard, painful transition several years ago that really it's still painful to this day. Broken relationship, and this is a person that was my mentor, who I love and respect even to this moment, and that we're not in a relationship. And it was one of those moments where all of a sudden I'm in my last semester of completing master's, get ready to capstone, and all of a sudden I find myself pastoring the church. And there was this moment in our, I kind of want to highlight this moment because I think it's important for leaders to hear, because it's a part of, I think, one of those things that help us have sustainability in ministry. Is we're kind of going back and forth, and I really don't want to go into the details of all of that.
Yeah.
But just know it was an issue. It was some things where it really was, he needed to step down, and that was really hard for him to do. And there was I will be compliant and do the things and just do the things. But what is needed when we go through, and this is something I'm speaking to myself, is there's a difference between compliance and really ownership and confession and walking out the steps of contrition. And there's some major differences there, because one's about character and the other one is about just doing what I need to do so I can have the control back. And, And so, that's something I've really had to check in my that shadow side of myself too. That's in all of us. But there's this moment where, he's screaming at me and saying, wait till you are on a hill by yourself and you got to make the decisions all by yourself. When I'm not here, this church will close in a week. And there's something that it was almost like a curse that was being spoken about, but there was something in my gut that I know was like this rumbling of who I am, that God has made me to be, and what the kingdom is about. And I said these words like I will never be on a hill by myself.
Yeah.
And like, that is not who God has made us to be. He has made us for community. And so that is something that really shifted me, because like the temptations don't want to be Moses coming down from the mountain and, but in all actuality, God has made me to be an empowerer, somebody who celebrates others, who's not in competition. And that really was like a shit. I'm like, this is who I am. Like, and this is who God made me to be. Like, I'm not going to be on the hill. And you can see it in the way I lead. You can ask those I lead. The fact
well, especially in light of your vision that you had. I mean, that in itself, you know, I mean, that speaks to maybe even some of that fear of man, for sure, in him, speaking out of, you know, I say the fleshly side, but Christianese that is, but that's what it is, right? And you do start to think there's that entitlement. I'm the only one that's making this thing go. When I'm gone, it's all gone, that kind of a thing. And it's more reactionary within that. And man, I would even say, I'm just looking back, and I don't know a lot of the space in between, but you know, that for such a time as that, you know, that was setting up even what would be beyond that. That's incredible.
Yeah. And had to really, the temptation is to make that person the enemy, and separate, when in all reality is like, those things are alive in all of us. The temptations are there. I see it in myself, in my own self, and like, we have to be honest and, and own those things. And so that was a really character building time for me as well, of wanting to be vulnerable. Like, that is a choice of bravery that you have to make, to be accountable. In the church, really, I really think this kind of goes back to almost, I would call it the sin of Saul, where we platform leaders and we don't really set leaders up for success, because they, in our eyes, they're not meant to do wrong, but we were never supposed to be in that place. We're not God, and we make gods. And so, it's funny, as a person who practices vulnerability, I can watch people get disgusted by it. They're like, it's so funny. They're like, ugh, and there's wisdom to what you shared, all that,
Sure. But still, you're right. There is that, I don't want to say it's old school, because I don't think it's an old school way of thinking. I still encounter it even with younger leaders, but there is this, we got to keep some type of a mask or an image, just for lack of a better word, that is maintained. And some will they'll actually use maybe a false vulnerability or some of it to actually make it look like whatever, but it's still a mask.
There's a big difference between transparency and vulnerability. Transparency is good, but you can control what you give. Vulnerability requires that I'm putting myself at risk to receive from the person in front of me. And so I will say I've had leaders in my life that are really good about being transparent, but they were controlling what they were being transparent about.
Sure. Yep.
And so,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Listen, thank you. I hope I didn't mean to lead you into the deeper waters of maybe some of the pain points, but thank you for your vulnerability within that.
Oh yeah. No, I really believe that I'm able to really share about this. One, it's an important message, but I feel like I'm sharing from a place of healing as well. We still have scars, Jesus himself has scars, and that's, I think, on purpose, even in his glorified body. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, especially as you're working with other leaders, you know, I think one of the things and I don't love it, but as I'm learning the further along I go and the hard things that I have to walk through is that God's not just using that to refine me and bring me through and show his faithfulness, but it's also giving me something to be able to meet other people on the level of which they're walking through these pain points as well, and to be able to go, this sucks, but God will be good in this, you know? Yeah. And you're talking about some of the bitterness type of thing. What do you do? I'm curious, and maybe asking for a friend. Okay. Preface that. And I've had my own personal journey, even within this last few weeks of different, and maybe in a different way. But what are some of the things that you do when it comes to, you know, there's the self-awareness of, or maybe there isn't, of the bitterness or the things that could come up, especially when you know I'm in the right, right? Or I didn't do anything wrong, you know?
I'll be that friend that's asking.
Yeah. Okay. So so you're asking. So we're asking for the podcast. At large, what is your approach to that, or how? Because I mean, to be able to say some of the things that you're saying, and still say I'm still having that compassion for people. You know, I still want to celebrate others. That doesn't come from a place of bitterness. That comes from something else. I'm just curious how you've been able to walk through that.
Yeah, there's a word that has been super helpful is differentiation, and that should probably be a podcast in itself. But
okay, book it.
To really understand that what I am receiving may not have anything to do with me, and we all carry a backpack or baggage with us. Yeah, that unfortunately. It's like we hit those pain points and we tend to get the brunt of it. And so to be able to like step aside and be like, maybe this isn't about me in this moment. If I like, there has to be a humility, I think, to be able to recognize our humanity and say, like, for me, it was huge for me to recognize that those same tendencies are in my heart. And so if I can be honest about that, it helps me have compassion for others. Yeah. It doesn't mean in the moment I'm not heated and upset or but to be able to step away from that and be like, you know what, I love this person. I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I hold hope and pray for and for whoever the person that may have done the harm and betrayal, those kind of things, to be able to really say, God, I'm handing this to you. And Lord, also, will you search my heart in this as well? I think that requires a humility that is not easy. I'm trying to think of what else there could be in that. I think also this is where community is important, where we need people that check us and know us and are willing to speak those truths in love that pierce our hearts. And am I someone that can receive that truth? Like, what do I do? If it's true and it's meant as love, like, can I receive it? Yeah. And that's a good litmus test of our character.
Well, and it goes back to that humility, especially if this is supposed to be somebody that is trusted, right? Mm-hmm. Or I have allowed in. Am I humble enough even before them, to hear that as well? Because I'll just use real briefly my own, like I said, recent journey with things and bitterness that I had allowed. And it's actually more towards God in some of the things. I'm just like, this isn't right. Mm-hmm. That's not fair. Or I'm tired of dealing with this, or, whatever. And it was a moment that I had to come to repentance in that, because it's not about being angry, but it's where I had taken it in my heart. But it was actually my wife who pointed it out and just said, that's not good. And do you think maybe this is affecting other things? I'm like, Well, no. What are you talking about?
No.
Absolutely not. And you're wrong, right? So, and then we didn't talk for 2 days. No, I'm just kidding. It didn't happen like that. But it's that there had to be a moment of just like, oh, that's right. You know what I mean? But there's a humility that needs to be in there, and not, it's funny going, I'm the most humble guy, but you know what I mean? Like, I had to receive it. I have to receive it to be able to push through.
Well, justice is a kingdom principle, and so when things are unjust or you feel like you've experienced that, like, it's good. But there's a difference between justice and being right. Like, if this is about me being right, or and that goes for marriage, that goes to so many relationships. That goes, what is being right more important than honor and love and care and laying that down? And it was funny. Not funny. As we were going through this time. I don't recommend this because I actually think it is important to communicate during a transition like this.
Sure.
But I misinterpreted the Lord saying, "I will defend you, keep your mouth shut," versus also there need to be more communication to some things. To not defend in that time. And I wanted to be like, because here's the narrative. This person took a narrative, created even a podcast, and was posting all this information. I'm supposed to be quiet, and so it looks like we've stolen the church, all this stuff, and you're just like, this is not the true story. This is not right, all this stuff.
Hard.
And there was and behind the scenes there was this offering of reconciliation and healing, and we want you to be a part of this. How do we support it? But the outward story is completely different. And so, and I did bite my tongue, and it's so hard. It wasn't about, I had to trust that the Lord had a plan. And he really moved us forward in that time and to shift some things that needed to be shifted based on, are people there for the Lord? Are they following a person kind of thing?
Yeah.
And so yeah.
So he used it to shift in you, but also then within the church. And this is where you're currently serving right now. Mm-hmm. So I want to maybe follow up then with the question of, and we've asked this, but I had just a thought, just even looking at some of the stuff that you gave us ahead of time. We usually do ask in some form or fashion of, what does the word ministry mean to you, or how do you define that? But I'm also curious if you could maybe expand on how that has even translated to the ministry, and what is your approach that you're doing right now?
Yeah. That word ministry is actually something that is really significant to me, because it's how I live. It is a missional heart that both my wife and I really hold, that we're called. And I would go back to the root of, was it diakoneo, Matthew 20:28, where the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. That it is, ministry is to serve, and understanding that I'm not just called to serve a building, because the church is not a building. Mm-hmm. But God has called me to a community. Like, I pastor my community. I have a relationship with the pastors in my community. I care about the needs of my community, which has led us to starting a nonprofit out of our church that does transitional housing, Refuge. Oh, wow. That has led us to continue the ministry of our church. We own a swimming pool and miniature golf course that ministers to kids in the neighborhood. We do our VBS there. We do our summer ministries there. But that I'm not expecting the people in my community to show up on a Sunday morning. I want to go where the community is. And build that relationship. So part of our value is we show up. Like, we have T-shirts that say we show up, Okay. And so we show up to city events. We show up to places of need. And so to me, it is service that even if you do this the least of these, you're doing unto me. And so that's really impacted the way that we leave and serve.
Yeah. I love that. I love that the we show up, because that translates to so many things I can think of, especially when you're leading with invitation on a lot of things. What a great approach. What a great approach.
Yeah. And it's funny because there's that to serve. This is where we get in trouble. This is actually a part of the sabbatical. I am a person who gets really unbalanced where the being and the doing and the being, I'm a doer.
Okay.
I'm driven. I want to do all the stuff, but that has to come out of a place of being. This is the whole Mary Martha thing. Like, that was important, but it has to come from being with Jesus was important as well. It has to come from that place. And so just a reminder of doing is great, but it's got to come from your well's got to be full. And so it's got to overflow.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because actually that is something, when I think of ministry and how I define it, and we've had many people say kind of, and they obviously everyone says it in a different way, but it goes back to that serve, and especially when it has become a vocational thing. Not everybody, I understand that it's a blessing to be full-time vocational minister, but I can real easily start to look at it as a job, and exactly what you're talking about. And maybe this will pivot to the sabbatical, because I am curious about that in just a second. But what has been helpful for you when you're going, okay, this is not what I do. This is, and maybe not even who I am, right? Not my identity, but in some way it is the extension of who I am in standing within Christ. And so I'm just curious what that looks like for you, or how you're able to really combat that mentality.
Well, it's interesting because I don't know if you know this, but I was a banker for like 12 years.
I did not know that. And
I was a lay minister and on staff during that time as well. But branch manager, business banker, and didn't understand why I was still doing this and not in full-time ministry. And what I was oblivious to was that I was shepherding the community I was at. So my calling is wherever I'm at, with whoever I'm at. Assignments change, calling doesn't. But I was oblivious to that, and was really my office was, people were praying. I was doing weddings and funerals. It was one of the most fruitful times of ministry, was really working in the marketplace.
Yeah.
People that it's so funny just to see, to come to the Lord, the power of presence, how important that is to show up when people are suffering. And it's not even the words you say, it's that you were there. And so to really see the impact of that, but that delineation of, it's not just about, my assignments are going to change, but who God is maybe to be. It doesn't matter if I'm at the grocery store or at the bank or, at the church. This is who I am. And that's been a huge thing, because I feel like I was chasing something and missing where I was. Because I had my idea of what ministry looked like, what calling looked like. And am I answering the question that you're
Absolutely.
asking?
No, absolutely. Yeah. No, that's actually really good, because when I think of where I get stuck in the mud and spinning my wheels, it's because I have forgotten the calling, and it's not even about the work that I'm doing most of the time. It's about what God wants to do in me, and I just get to be alongside others within it, And so, no, I think you answered that exactly.
It's so funny, we're talking about, you've mentioned sabbatical. And this is the first sabbatical I've ever taken.
Okay.
I've never taken more than 10 consecutive days off.
Okay.
Ever.
And this one was how long?
This was 3 months.
3 months. Yeah. So I've never yet attempted that. I've done a month, and I'm actually due for another one next year. But it's one of those, you get to the end of it and you go, oh, now I know why people take longer. Like, Yeah. And so this was your first time doing it.
Yeah.
Walk us through that.
Yeah. And so, I have never felt what it feels like and means to lay things down.
Okay.
So, I don't have the discipline enough, or honestly don't think I'd recognize how much that had crept in. And so I really wanted to approach this, and I will take it. It took a long time to be okay with doing this, because my experience of Sabbath was pastors go on Sabbath when they had a moral failing or not Sabbath, sabbatical.
Sabbatical, yeah.
And this is something I'm very passionate about.
Sure.
There is a big delineation between sabbatical and leave of absence. Those are two separate things.
Yes.
And we need to not cross those things together.
That's right.
Stop calling them what they're not.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. And so don't get my wife and I started on that, but we have views on it. But my experience is when the pastor went on a sabbatical, which should have been a leave of absence, throughout my history experience, they didn't come back,
Correct.
So
right.
It's like a trauma triggering thing, but
sure.
But I had an amazing man that I'm sure many of you know, who, if you don't, you need to go visit him. Paul Kuzma really start encouraging me of, hey, when have you taken this? I'm taking one. And then I have an amazing, wonderful supervisor who models it, Antonio, and, takes one, because if we want to be in this for the long haul, this is an investment. But something that was really important to me is I wanted to do it right. I didn't want to waste it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And so, and guys, I feel fresh. I feel great. It's really amazing, but I wanted to have a plan. And so I'm talking to pastors and friends who had already been on one. Kuzma gave me all these resources that are available to all of us as well. And, because also, and here's the scary part, is sabbatical forces you to release and empower. So you have to trust.
Yep.
And if you're coming up with excuses, it's probably linked to this. Can I actually let go and trust and empower? And so I'm reaching out to friends, respected leaders. I got a sabbatical coach, the best guy in the world, who's been a mentor, who has walked with me through these really dark times. Larry Spousta really helped me. And here, you ready for what it was? And I want to do this for anyone watching on this. I didn't realize that I needed permission. I needed permission to lay things down. I needed just this. I didn't realize that I'm so caught in the doing, and I needed him. And there's this moment that we were on our coaching call together, and he goes, "Timmy, look at me." And I'm like, oh. He's like, and I'm going over what I want to do and the hesitancy. I would guise it in. I don't want to burden everyone, kind of thing. And he goes, "Timmy, look at me. I give you permission. I want you to have fun. I want you to lay all the strategy and skill stuff down. And I want you to rest in your belovedness." And he goes, "Look at me. I command you and order you to have fun."
Oh, wow.
And to rest in your belovedness. And if anyone is watching, I will say, you have permission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have permission to rest. It is biblical.
Yeah.
And we all need it. So that was huge for me.
Yeah.
Well, and I also, so I actually didn't know that you had gone on one until we reached out to set this up and everything. And there were a couple of things that stood out that I want to just unpack with you real quick. One, I noticed on your social media the way you communicated it, and the verbiage was very intentional, I think, in that we are being sent. That you guys are you and your wife were being sent onto this sabbatical. But then also too, I was the level of radio silence that you were able to go under, especially in today's day and age where we're connected on literally everything, was impressive to me. And so I'm if you could maybe just your strategy going into it, like you said, from the communication of to those that don't understand it, or maybe even those that do, but this is why we're being sent, and then your ability to stay off of the radar. Tell us how you went about that.
That is something I needed. But the being sent part, that was something that Larry really communicated to us, to our council, because our council is the one that really came up with the sabbatical policy. They wanted to invest. This is an investment in my wife and I.
Yeah.
And so that this isn't a response to, like this was like, no, we want you to be here for the long haul. You guys have been serving faithfully. And this isn't even for us. Like we have it for our staff as well, based on, years and all that. So the church was really sending us. This was on like, hey, we're taking a vacation, see you guys later, kind of thing, or peace out, like this was a whole thing where they're praying for us. And it was intentional. We had some intentionality to what we were going to do. The first part, it's our 25-year wedding anniversary. And so we're celebrating that. We're getting time with the family. We went to CSR for some time and spent time with Paul. We really value counseling and therapy, and so we're seeing our therapist. We're going to our marriage counselor because we want to invest in our marriage. And so if you see it as an investment, that is a really important thing. And it's funny, I had a marriage therapist say that people wait 7 years too long before they finally go to marriage counseling, different things. And I'm like, this is the most important relationship of my life. Like, like this is the representation of the bride and the groom, of Jesus in his church. And why wouldn't I invest in this? And so that is something that we've really wanted to do. And so the church really, it made it so that they're really a part of it, and they are. And so, and just the gratitude I feel from our church council, leaders that encourage us, our district, our teaching team and staff and team, and all the people that, like, I just am overwhelmed with gratitude for them. You asked about this thing here, like, oh my gosh.
The phone.
I am that guy that, like, when the ding goes, like, people, when they're around me, my phone is like, it is what it comes with. I'm regional pastor.
Sure.
I pastor a church. And I'm a real, like, I'm the shepherd carrying, like, visitation presence person. Yeah. And so my phone is dinging and calling constantly. And so I needed, because when I hear it, see it, I hold it. And I needed to not hold it for a season and know what that's like, and to be able to trust that it's not meant for me to hold a lot of the things I was holding. And so I knew I needed to make that boundary. And I have an iPhone. They had this, like, you could do driving mode, but you can create the message in it.
Right, the focus, yep.
It's in the focus. And so was able to do that. I communicated on social media. I didn't need to cut off social media. And so just put a message out there of, like, hey, not going to be available, going to be digitally dark.
Right.
And then email responses as well. And that, I just needed that time. I had it. I was able to communicate with my family, like the people that I was going to be communicating during this time.
Yeah. So it wasn't like a burner phone or something. It was like,
no, I'd almost gone down that.
Filtered out. Okay.
If I was not able to do that, I would have probably gone that route, because it was that serious to me.
Yeah. And I've heard, and I've heard of that, other, leaders doing that, because they need to be able to just filter out only those that really need to actually talk to me during this time.
Yeah. And I haven't actually I haven't loaded a bunch of stuff back onto my phone yet. And I got to say, I love not being connected to social media.
Isn't it great?
It was really great. Like, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Just
I feel that.
Yeah. So that's a whole nother episode.
It really is. It really is.
It is.
So here's the other thing, and I'm curious about this for you. And you sound like you mentioned a little bit because you're even still easing back in. I know we're time stamping this. You've been back for like what, a month now, right, from your sabbatical ish?
Yeah, about almost.
Close. So, a longer period of time, I've heard that it really is best to ease back in anyway, coming out of that, not just jumping right in. And that was something that I had to learn almost the hard way during one of my sabbaticals of, all right, well, now it's done. And here I'm right back in full speed ahead. What has been helpful for you when it comes to coming out of that intentional season of disconnecting to now I need to, essentially pick up the staff again and lead?
Yeah. There was an intentional plan of like easing into it. So like first Sunday back, I'm not preaching. Same for my wife. It's mostly about connection. And so we're connecting with leaders like, hey, what's going on, kind of thing. And the handoffs have been slowly happening on certain things. And some things I ain't picking back up. Like, that's just the reality of.
That's good.
And what I want to be, the thing that Tisha and I were talking about the other day is like, or last night, we had this realization of like, certain things that get handed off, we may not need to pick back up. Like, and I don't want to like, if something is working and well and like there's a passion and a power, maybe I don't need to take that back and to not like squash what God has done in a person during the summer.
Yeah.
And so, but in order for that to happen, I got to ask the questions and be curious about that. And so, I think that's important of having a reentry plan. And I kind of tiered it. I started my regional job first, and it was mostly just connection with the area pastors. And then I've been meeting with the staff as well. And Tisha's been filling me in on a lot of things because she came back a little bit earlier. So,
yeah.
I think having a plan is an important part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been really, really great, and I'm kind of watching the time, Timmy, here. But I'm curious when we're looking back, at our ministry journeys, and especially as we're walking with others throughout these things, it's easy to see different things, different themes, maybe that God He consistently brings me back to, and I'm able to even work with others within that. Is there something that you keep coming back to that you look back and you see, and then I go, oh, yep, God has positioned me to be ready for this with somebody else?
Yeah. It's funny. The word that comes to mind is transition. Like my own, you've heard a little bit about my own personal transition and how even in my role now I help people transition and
it's not triggering transition to you, which is good. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. But there's something I really learned in it that's been a huge, I think is important and probably would be beneficial for others, is the realization of like none of it belongs to us. Like it's His. And so a question that I had to face myself, even now, like as I'm thinking of like, the future, like the question that is, I think, is terrifying sometimes. But if the Lord asked me to lay everything down tomorrow, the church, the ministry, whatever ministry could I do it? And if not, why? To be curious of what the hesitation would be, or, if the answer is no, to ask the Lord to put you on the surgery table and kind of pick apart why is that?
Yeah.
Because, and this is something that is so important. It's ministry is not just about now, but what is 5 to 10 years from now, and am I investing in those that are going to lead after me? And in a lot of situations, I walk into transitions, and there hasn't been a development of the next generation or the next leader.
Yeah.
And so I think empowerment is so important. But in order to empower, you have to be willing to trust and let go, and trust that it's going to be messy. Trust that there's going to be, that there will be mistakes, and that you can lead that through that. It's actually really good learning opportunities. But to empower the next generation so that you're a part of that,
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it speaks to, going back to what you'd said, even with in the painful transition, it just stuck out to me. It continues to stick out to me. I wrote it down. It's just, you're never on a hill alone. And some of that speaks to that same mentality of, I'm not just building people up to be able to, have people to fill roles, but that I'm working with them. I'm leading them in certain ways. I'm empowering them to be able to give me a break, like you've done within that as well. And now it's also forward thinking as well, of this is, I'm not going to be on this hill
Right.
all this time, right? There could be a day where I'm asked to lay it all down. And, man, that just speaks to so many things. It just resonates with me. I love the way you phrased that.
Yeah. And sabbatical is really it's a test to see if you can, because you have to trust your team.
Yeah.
You gotta set them up for success, but also trust, like, it is, it's crazy. Like, our church grew while we were gone. Like, like, there are people I'm like, hi, nice to meet you. Like, I'm Timmy, everybody, like, meeting new people, which is great.
I should leave more often.
That's what I said. I'm like, what?
It's me. I'm the problem.
Okay. Yeah. But a good litmus test of am I controlling or have trust issues is, can you take a sabbatical? And if you can't, why not? Like, what's really going on inside? And so,
man,
yeah,
that's a dangerous question. That's actually, that's probably more self-reflective. And an easy, practical way to say that is, like you were saying, can I take a sabbatical, and why not? And oh my gosh, you can think of all the different excuses that people have within that. That's really interesting. I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
You said something like you have to really trust your team. What would you say to, like, the pastor that feels alone, that maybe doesn't or hasn't empowered a team, or is maybe a smaller church that just really doesn't have a team yet? Yeah,
that is a reality of, of rural churches, of, smaller churches that are really being faithful and loving who God has called them to, which in my mind is success, because I think we get in trouble with how we define success.
Yeah.
Am I obedient to what God has asked me to do and loving the person that is in front of me in my community? That is success. And so I want to affirm somebody who's hearing that right now, that is an important thing.
It's good. That's really good.
But the realization also is that your four walls of that building is not the kingdom of God. It's a part of. And so to know that what has been vital for me loving ministry and not hating it is that I have connections to the pastors in my community. I have connections to my district's supervisor. I have connection to the other Foursquare churches. And so that I have a pastoral care group of people that I meet with monthly, that Brian James offers, that that I have people that know me and hear me, are praying for me, that are encouraging me. But like, those connections are important so that I can bring in somebody else to cover. Your area pastor will help you with this. Your regional pastor, if somebody told me, hey, I need the idea to take sabbatical, I ask the question usually, hey, do you have coverage? What support do you need? And so, there are people, we have interims that are available. There are resources to be able to help with that. It does take work on the front end to be able to prep and prepare people. You got to identify, here's all the things I'm holding, who will hold this thing. And that we started a year in advance, just to let you know.
Okay.
And so from building the teaching team, which to empowering the staff. So does that help that question, Brenton?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think of, I am one of those area pastors that hears things like that. And you go, okay, so how can we help facilitate all of those different things? I think it's fantastic.
Well, no, I would agree with that. And it's in the planning and the forethought. And, so I'm also an area pastor here. And we actually did help a church this last summer fill most of the month of June because of that, with that. And so you have not, because you asked not, I think, on some of that. And if we just automatically assume the answer is going to be no, then we're already working from behind. And so maybe it's the ask, that's the permission part that needs to be given. Ask.
And at our churches, I mean, I have people that are like, hey, where are you going? I'm covering this church over here. It's like we have a culture where this is happening. In fact, to the point where another church in our community reached out and said, hey, we need somebody to cover this Sunday. And
nice.
We have a relationship with them. And so my wife preached at their church, because we're working together at the nonprofit. And so you got to create that culture. Yeah. And I would also say to, the churches out there that want us love and support is offer, hey, I hear you wanting to do this. Do you have coverage,
Yes.
So yeah.
That's so good. Well, Timmy, we have taken a lot of your time and even worked through some technical stuff with you, and you've been on much longer than we normally do. And so I want to say thank you for sticking with us. This has been really fruitful. You even got a asking for a friend question, so you're on the right track when you've hit the 2 hosts of this podcast. So thank you so much for everything that you've given to us today.
Well, thank you guys, and this has been an honor, and I just so appreciate what you're doing, because we need this encouragement. We need to understand that you're not alone, that there are other people going through this, and we're a part of a big kingdom that is awesome. So thank you guys.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all that you do for others and the way you empower and celebrate them. And we're just grateful for you. So thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks again for listening to the podcast. If you'd like to connect further with our guest, we've made ways to do so available in the episode show notes. If you'd like to connect with us further, support the podcast, or sign up for show updates, just go to withouthatingit.com to get started. And don't forget to subscribe to Ministry Without Hating It wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss our future episode releases. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time.